And good morning, everyone. This is TraderSwift, and it's Sunday, August 4th, and I'm going to give a quick market update and explain just a bit about how I look at stocks on the weekend. Wow, we've had a big week. We've had a really big week, down week, and and I know it's been tough for a lot of people. So definitely hang in there, keep learning. What I like to do every weekend is look at all of my stocks. I like to look at the indexes and look at my stocks on the larger time frame. So when doing my weekly analysis, I like to start with the weekly chart. And I like the weekly because the weekly does tell the longer term story. Going back last year around last September, we hit highs. So I'm looking at the QQQs. We've hit the highs. We came down all the way until I think December 24th is when we hit the bottom, and then on the 26th we started to resume. And throughout this year, we've had a really good run. We made a full recovery from last year, and then in the month of May, we took this little dive. June and July, we've recovered, and then now we're getting hit again. So if you look at the QQQs, this overall index in the larger context, you can definitely see that this last week was something notable. We took out the lows of the prior week. But in the larger context, you can also see, if you bought in earlier this year, you are still well in profit. So, the sky isn't falling just yet, but definitely something to pay attention to. Looking at the SPYs on the weekly chart, you'll see a very very similar story. The SPYs actually closed right at the high of that previous high area. So it found a little support here, but we'll see how that continues. Also, the IWM. This chart looks a little different. Again, this is the small caps. It also fell, but the chart doesn't look as good. So it's mostly still in a consolidation zone right in this range. Now going on to some stocks in the weekly chart, the Atlassian on the weekly looks good, looks perfectly healthy to me. We did not take out the lows of the prior week. We're still hanging up there. So looking at this stock, looks great. CrowdStrike, again, very similar. Now it looks like we came close to testing the lows of the prior week, but that's still very bullish. Neo, we actually ended the week higher. So even though the broader market has taken a hit, and a lot of the software names that I like to normally trade has taken a hit. Neo itself has actually ended the week very strong. Part of that has to do with earnings and some other things, but Neo itself relatively looking very strong, at least on the weekly time frame. Zendesk, this had a big move down. This broke many prior weeks of consolidation. This was on extremely high volume. I'll be watching it, but again, this is not showing the same level of bullishness as Atlassian, but just definitely something to watch. Again, this bar here was the prior high volume swing point of on the weekly chart. So this is going to be the biggest area that I'm looking. Now, if you remember my last video, I was saying, it could find support here, or it could find support at this area, and sure enough, like magic, it finds support right here. Now, this is the key level I'm watching. Does it find support here? Does it consolidate here for a while, or does it break through next week? And if it does break through, this swing point here would be the next logical area of support, and then if it breaks that, we're going downtown to here 52 area. So I'm going to be watching that. A lot of people like to take trades. They like to buy the dip, big down day, and they just buy when it's down. And that's not what I like to do. I like to make sure we've at least found some area of support. And on the weekly chart, Zendesk has found this support, but it could continue. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on it. Smartsheet. Again, found support at that prior swing point. So this is a good logical area to buy if we're done going down, but we don't know. So I'll be watching that more on the daily time frame. Beyond Meat, this looks like this closed just below the prior weekly high on expanding volume. I'm probably not going to touch it for a while, at least, unless it would take out this prior swing point high. That's what I would be looking for. Coupa Software looks stronger than some of the others, but also not as strong as things like Atlassian. This could still very well come back and test this prior area, so I'll be watching that. The volume's been lighter relatively, so that's good. Rapid7, again, tested this prior swing high area on high volume, so I'm going to be watching it. Okta held up pretty well, did close below the two prior week lows on slightly higher volume, but overall this volume is below average, so that looks healthy to me. CyberArk. Almost same story. All these software stocks trade in the same way. Once you see the pattern, it's easy to spot it again. Zscaler looking very strong. It closed inside of the prior week's candles, so and not below. So that's a slightly more bullish take on it. So once I've looked at weekly, the weekly time frame, I want to look at how are the ABC structures holding up. Actually, just made a video explaining the ABCD structure of Smartsheet, how that works. How are we in that context? Are we extended? If I remember in the last video, I mentioned that Coupa had the ABC, so A, B, C, D, and then we've kind of extended past that. So Coupa was extended. I will look on the weekly time frame. I'll look to see if any stocks are extended, and just at least keep that in mind in trading. And then once I have weekly, occasionally on a about once a month. I'm not always real great at it. I'll also look at the monthly time frame, and that's where every bar represents a month. Now, the monthly time frame, it's really kind of hard to trade off of it unless you're a longer term investor. Those are really the only people that would be using monthly. But what the monthly will do is show you the overall pattern. So looking at QQQ, SPY. The overall pattern is we've had this big run up since 2016 up to here, and then we had this area of consolidation here, and then what we'll be looking for using classic ABCD structure trading patterns is when we do take out the highs with conviction, meaning with volume, we could be set up for a really solid bull run moving forward. The problem is we don't know how long this consolidation is going to last. Is it going to be another year, another 2 years? Again, trading on the monthly time frame is a little bit too long for my taste and probably your taste as well. But it's good to know the context. It's also good to know, hey, would you buy up here? if we're still in a consolidation. Well, probably not. What we want to do is really wait for it to take out the highs, and then that would be the logical point. But if it did retrace back to here, if you're depending on how the other charts are showing, you may be able to get some good buys. So just something to keep in mind. Now back to the daily chart. The daily chart is what I base my trades on. I like to have the context of the monthly. I like to have the context of the daily, or sorry, the weekly. But the daily chart is what I trade on, and so looking at the QQQs, the SPY and IWM on the daily, we haven't found support yet. We're Wednesday was down, Thursday was down, Friday was we got below a little bit. We have accelerating volume Thursday, and then Friday was a little bit lighter volume. So is that a bottom here? Well, it's really kind of hard to say. This volume is well above average, so that concerns me. We close below the prior day candle, so that also concerns me. So I didn't jump in on Friday. I'm all cash. I'm not going to jump in immediately on Monday. I'm gonna wait and see how things play out a bit. What would I like to see? Well, I would probably actually like it to come back and test this area. But it may not do it. I like to keep an open mind. I'm not overly bearish right now. We're still at the highs. We're we started 2019 down here. This was our prior high point. We're actually not even that far off. So there's no reason to be overly bearish. And after a move this big from looking at the Qs from 145 all the way up to 190, that's a major move. So it's actually healthy to have some consolidation. This entire area could be considered consolidation. So that's fine. But what you don't want to be is in a position where you've bought a bunch of you've gone all in up here expecting a breakout, and it pulls all the way back up to here. That's a major drawdown there. So it's important to be cautious. It's important to, as you take new positions, take small positions, and then as you find yourself into the green, you could start to add to those positions. But, right now, based on closing below that candle, the relatively high volume from prior weeks, this is not an area I want to get into. So I'm going to be sitting on the sidelines. SPY, it did find support at that area, but the thing is, SPY is broken down a little further in QQQ. Q has been relatively a little stronger, so I'm going to be watching that. Does it hold that support there, or does it break it? Now, if it breaks it, again, this is the next logical area, potentially this area too, because of that swing point. But until it proves itself to me, it doesn't make sense to trade. I don't have to be the first one into the trade. I don't have to capture the very beginning. I just want to capture most of it. And I also want to look just for the most high probability trades. So I'm going to be sitting out for a little bit longer. IWM also very weak, also selling. So the three of these three broader market ETFs, you can really get a good sense of how the market is doing. Now, looking at some stocks, so Atlassian looks really healthy to me, sitting at the highs. It's had some down days, but the volume is low compared to this buy bar. So, yeah, so that looks healthy. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I could keep going on and on, but I just wanted to kind of give this broader weekly context and just say that I'm going to be cautious moving into this next week, and I'll be giving updates daily. So thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.